All right, welcome into episode 2 of our two-part preview of the European Championships. Myself and Greg Caltabanis today. No big-time guest to bring you, but I think we can definitely get you through this next 40 minutes of football talk where we will preview Groups A through C. Can Turkey give Italy a run for its money? How much can the Danes put some pressure on Belgium? And is there anyone who's going to threaten the Netherlands in Group C? I bring in my co-host, Gregory Caltabanis here on the Footy Pod. Greg, how are you?
Good, John. Good. Yourself?
I'm very well. I'm looking forward to watching your Italian team fail the first game Friday. Yes, that is correct. But there is, I think for most soccer fans or football fans, there are two teams that you enjoy watching kind of crash and burn. For me in South America, it's Argentina with the millions of forwards that they try to shove into their lineup game after game after game with no results. Mm-hmm. And in Italy, it is the Italians just because
we've done nothing to you guys. We've done absolutely nothing to you guys. Obviously, as an Italian, I'd love to see the Germans and the French fall short, and the fact that they're in the same group, which we touched upon yesterday with Christian Jack, should make it a very interesting tournament from an Italian perspective. Hopefully, one of them falls flat.
Let's dive into to Italy here. I think that if you got into a time machine and found out that in 2020, Giorgio Chiellini and Leonardo Bonucci are still the center back pairing for Italy, people would be laughing at you saying, "Why isn't Gianluigi Buffon in nets?" I don't know. But realistically, that seems to be the thing that people are really focusing in on this Italian team. Can the two old men at the back get it done for you?
I'm not going to lie, along with the striker position, this is definitely the main issue of concern for me. Judging from the last season, Chiellini has taken a significant step back in the way he plays and the way he moves the ball. And, he's dealt with injury problems all season. Same could be said for Leonardo Bonucci, who towards the tail end of the season struggled with a lot of injuries. He even picked up a knock against the Czech Republic in the warm-up game just last week. It looked like he, had done in his ACL. He came back. He bounced back solid. So, yeah, definitely an injury concern is the main worry. Obviously, you have Acerbi who's ready to step up, who seems to be the number 3 option off the bench. I like the guy, don't get me wrong. I think he's a warrior and he can move the ball really well. But I would like to see Inter Milan's Alessandro Bastoni get a shot if one of them do pick up an injury, pick up a knock, because he was sensational for Inter this season. Hardly put a foot wrong other than that one mistake in the Coppa Italia. So there is depth, but yeah, definitely an area of concern if they could keep fit.
So looking at the rest of the squad, I think that anyone who's watched Inter Milan would believe that Nicolo Barella is just a fantastic midfielder in there. You've been praising Manuel Locatelli, who could potentially even start. How do you see the midfield shaking out? Marco Verratti, I mean, they have so much talent in the middle of the park. Mm-hmm. How do you see this shaking out for Roberto Mancini, and how does he fit them all in?
So, yeah, for me, the midfield is definitely Italy's strongest point for the first time in a long time. You definitely hit the nail on the head with Nicolo Barella. That's our little engine in the midfield, dynamic player. As a Juventus fan, I'm really looking forward to finally being able to root for him this tournament because every time he does play, he is so impressive, finds the back of the net, makes those darting runs in behind. So I think he's a nailed-on starter. Then you look at a guy like Jorginho, who Mancini has essentially based his whole midfield around him at the heart of midfield. He came a long way this season with Chelsea. Obviously, there's been some struggles on and off there, but few midfielders are better at dictating play than him. And then the final spot right now, obviously, it has to go to Marco Verratti, PSG. He is honestly just built for these big moments in Champions League games. He has always stepped up, completely, pulling all the right strings. But there is a fitness concern with him. He has been dealing with an injury for the past 2 weeks. Reportedly, he's going to be good to go. If he's not 100% fit, no problem. Obviously, he's going to be a huge loss. But again, Manuel Locatelli, all season with Sassuolo, impressed week in, week out, very progressive passer. He's being linked with a number of top clubs, Juventus, Manchester City, even Barcelona are having a look at him. So he's more than ready to step up. He also looked phenomenal in the warm-up games. So if I had to say, if all of them are fit, you're looking at Verratti, Jorginho, and Barella. If not, I mean, Locatelli is good to go.
Now, I'm always fascinated with the Italian team because it seems like when it comes to strikers, I mean, you remember Mario Balotelli just absolutely announcing himself to the world as on the main stage. Giro Immobile has had moments as well. Belotti. I'm just curious, who do you believe is the guy to really take the team by the scruff of the neck up front? I mean, years ago it was Bernardeschi. He has not lived up to that hype whatsoever. So I'm just curious to see who's going to score the goals for Italy, other than, of course, Lorenzo Insigne on the left wing.
Yeah, I think in terms of goal scoring, it's going to have to be goal scoring by committee. Barella is the type of player to nick a few goals here and there. Ciro Immobile, it's, in my opinion, it's his last real shot at proving that he could do it on the international level. No disrespect to him. We're talking about one of Serie A's best forwards, most consistent forwards over the last couple of years, tied Gonzalo Higuain's scoring record just the year before. He's looking better and better every time he puts on the Italy jersey. It's clear that he was a victim of the Gianpiero Ventura era, where people kind of put the blame on him and Belotti for not qualifying for the World Cup, not turning up on those big moments, notably in that playoff game against Sweden. He's already looked better linking up with Insigne and Berardi in the early stages of this, the Roberto Mancini era. They're going to need him to pick up a few goals. Anything less than 3 or 4 goals by Immobile this tournament, and they're not making it. They're not going the distance. Obviously, when it comes to that, that spark in the final third, absolutely it's Lorenzo Insigne. 19 goals, 7 assists this season for Napoli, just shifted into another gear when it mattered for them. Ultimately, they missed out on Champions League, but no fault of his. He was sensational. He's looked great. Italy scored 4 goals against the Czech Republic. He had a direct hand in 3 of them. So definitely, I think it's going to be up to Insigne to do a lot of the work in the final third. Immobile, man, just as long as he buries the chance that falls to him, and there will be many because Italy has some dynamic wingers with Berardi, Insigne, and Chiesa. I think he'll do just fine.
And looking at the rest of Group A, I mean, we're talking. We spoke yesterday about the group of death with Christian Jack. I mean, it's not that this is a group of death whatsoever. I think that Italy are expected to top this group, but man, Turkey have been hugely impressive in the lead up to this tournament. What's old is new again with Yilmaz from Lille.
Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable. They have some incredible players in Çalhanoğlu from AC Milan. Soyuncu has been unbelievable at the back for Leicester this year. Do you think that Turkey can really give Italy a run for its money in this group? Because they seem to be just at a time when in international football it's so difficult to kind of get that chemistry and cohesion in the squad because you don't have nearly as much practice time as club football. They look like a real team and a real unit.
Yeah, 100%. Like Turkey, I actually have them pegged as one of my dark horses this tournament to at least make the quarterfinals. With a bit of luck in the bracket and the matchup, they could even make the semis. Like, this is a team that is extremely talented from top to bottom. You mentioned Soyuncu at center back. He's going to be paired with Mehdi Demiral. I know he dealt with his injuries at Juve, but every time he was on the pitch, he was pretty solid. Very aggressive young defender. At right back, they have the Lille man, Mehmet Çelik, another great player who was apparent. With fullbacks, quality fullbacks, few and far between. Lots of clubs are looking his way with a $20 million price tag. Then Burak Yilmaz, this guy at 35 years old, keeps rolling back the years, keeps finding the back of the net. And beyond finding the back of the net, he finds himself in a very, very similar situation to the one he did at Lille this season where they won the league. Turkey enters the tournament as, if I'm not mistaken, with the youngest average age of all the competitors. So much like Lille, lots of young players, Yusuf Yaziki there, looking to take that next step in their career. Cengiz Ünder, and what better leader than Burak Yilmaz? And he's a physical presence. He's going to pose a lot of problems to the Italian defense. He's going to pose a lot of problems to the Welsh defense. So yeah, and Switzerland of course. So yeah, I definitely have Turkey coming out of this group 100%. And quarterfinals is my pick for them, but with a bit of luck, like I said, they could beat anyone.
No, it's interesting when you bring up a guy like Cengiz Ünder, where it seemed like there were multiple chances for him to really arrive on the stage at club level. And it seems like that's a real theme for a lot of the players in the Turkish team, where There was a whole lot of hype around them. I can even mention Ozan Kabak, who did a decent job when he was picked up on loan for Liverpool. Probably won't start because, like you said, Demiral and Soyuncu seem to be the nailed-on starters at center half. But it's startling to me that there's 3 or 4 players in this Turkish team who haven't necessarily set the world on fire at club level, but when they all get together internationally, it meshes. For whatever reason, it all comes together. And I don't know, is that a coaching thing? And how weary should a team like Switzerland be? Because I think that we'll get to Switzerland in a second, but the Welsh are not going to do, I believe, what they did at the last international competitions where they kind of shocked the world at times. I don't think that they have that kind of pedigree anymore. But Turkey can really kind of put the nail in the coffin of Switzerland trying to get out of this group.
Yeah, no doubt. I think for Turkey, it's a pride thing. You know, you play for your national team, they rise to the occasion every single time. You know, historically, this Turkey does string together a deep run every now and then. I don't know if you recall in Euro 2008, they made it to the semifinals. So this is the type of team where they do have players that aren't lighting it up week in, week out, but for a 3-week period over a tournament, they could definitely do it. Hakan Çalhanoğlu, I know towards the end of the season, he wasn't doing anything for Milan. He was kind of anonymous in the bigger games for them, much to the dismay of the Milan fan base. But every time he laces up the boots for Turkey, he's, the free kick specialist that we know and love. He dominates proceedings. I know he starts from the left-hand side of their midfield 4 there, but he drifts in centrally, combines with Burak Yilmaz, Yusuf Yaziki. So yeah, I think they're an extremely dangerous side. I can't speak to their coaching too much. Obviously, I'm not going to pretend to know Şenol Güneş like the other managers in the Euro, but he's clearly doing something right. Every time I watch Turkey play, he's getting the most out of these young players. He's getting the most out of his veteran leadership, and it's all coming together in ahead of a very interesting time for this Turkish national team.
So let's move over to the Swiss, because I spoke yesterday about Alexander Isak for Sweden and how he could really kind of emerge at this tournament. I feel the same way for Breel Embolo with Switzerland. He has been touted for a long time as a guy who brings that pace, that physicality, that ability to get goals. We'll touch on breakout potential stars towards the end of this pod. But there isn't necessarily a lot of attacking talent for Switzerland. Xherdan Shaqiri will play right in the hole you expect behind two players. But do you feel the same way about Breel Embolo, that this feels like a moment for him to emerge?
Not quite. Like, I do look at Embolo and I do see him as that nearly talent who he clearly has all the skills and all the potential to really be that guy for Switzerland. But he's been given a lot of opportunities to do it, be it in qualifying or at other tournaments, and he hasn't been able to bring it all together. Honestly, I get Shaqiri hasn't played much for Liverpool this season, but he just has that little something about him. I know he's getting older and whatnot, but every time a major tournament rolls around, he is the type of player. You were mentioning it for Italy. Who's that type of player who's going to grab the game by the scruff of the neck? It's always been Shaqiri for Switzerland. Obviously, I think he won't have as big as an impact as he did last tournament. He's just, on the older side, less playing time. And then I look at a guy like Haris Seferovic, another player. He's just about to hit 30 years old. Never quite cut it at the top level, but he's coming off one of his most productive seasons with Benfica, something like 22 goals and 24 starts for them, leading goal scorer in Portugal. I have my concerns with him against top-class defenses, but they will need goals from Seferovic 100%. Embolo, type of player that he has impressed in Champions League nights, and that's all you could really ask. If you have to simulate an experience comparable to the European Championship or to the World Cup, you're probably going to look at, has he produced in the Champions League, and he has. So I don't want to completely discount him, but I'm not as sold as you as maybe him being their breakout star.
So another thing that makes the Swiss very, very interesting for me is that they have defensive solidity. This group has played together multiple times going into this, and not only that, they have one of the best defensive midfielders, or just midfielders, box to box. I mean, he does everything in the middle of the park for Borussia Mönchengladbach in Dennis Zakaria. Do you think that they have the potential defensively to really cause a team like Turkey or even the Italians some real problems here?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was, researching this team and I was going through their defensive and midfield ranks, I was impressed by the experience that they have in those key areas. Like in goal, you have Jan Sommer, one of the best goalkeepers in the Bundesliga. This is the type of guy who could steal a game. At center back, I know Fabian Schär has just come back from a long-term injury layoff, but he will be protected in a back 3 or 5 with Nico Elvedi next to him of Borussia Mönchengladbach, who's an incredible ball-playing center back. Obviously, between Elvedi and Zakaria, there is that Borussia Mönchengladbach, there is that club-level link that gives them that understanding to understand each other's movements and the nuances of the their defensive scheme. So I think defensively, the Swiss team is going to be extremely compact, extremely difficult to break down. Then I know Granit Xhaka gets a lot of hate from Arsenal fans, and I know he has the potential to just go out there, put a 2-footed tackle in, and get sent off. But I find he's getting so much hate to a point where he's almost underrated. Like, he does move the ball well, he does shield the back four well, he has the potential. He's decent on free kicks and corners and stuff like that. So I think through the middle, the spine of this team is really where the strength will come from. Obviously, I know we mentioned Embolo, Seferovic, Shaqiri, but if these guys could get it done in the central areas in midfield and center back, they might not need that many goals. One goal here, one goal there to nick it. I remember them beating Spain at Euro 2012 1-0, the first game of the tournament. I could see something like that happening.
And not only that, I mean, the thing is for me is that if you're looking at the fourth team in Group A, I don't expect the Welsh to really put that much of and I know there's going to be Manchester United fans who go crazy about the fact that we'll underestimate Daniel James and Ben Davies at left back from Tottenham, and there's so many players for the Welsh that might be names for people, but it doesn't seem like they are going to have that talisman like Gareth Bale was a few years ago. I mean, under how many bicycle kicks from Gareth Bale at this tournament. I mean, they're, for me, the most curious team in this group. I have no idea how to rank them. They could qualify somehow, and they could not win or even pick up a point in this group for me. What are your expectations for the Welsh?
I don't want to get any hate from Wales fan, but I have them nailed down as my fourth seed in this group. I think the Euro just comes at an awkward time for them. Like, their key players, Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey. Aaron Ramsey barely played this season, and when he did, he didn't exactly light it up. Gareth Bale, I know he finished the season strongly at Tottenham. I know he had his flashes of brilliance, but we're not talking about the same Gareth Bale from Euro 2016, where he could just, get that important goal, get those couple of goals for them to top the group with England. Maybe their only saving grace is their ability to come together as a cohesive unit. They do play a solid system, that 3-5-2 that kind of morphs into this 5-3-2. I like Ethan Ampadu at the back a lot. I think this player has a lot of potential and a lot of talent to kick on at a major European club, maybe in the next 3 to 5 years. It might be too early for him, though. So for those reasons, and just judging this group, you have Italy, you have Turkey, you have the compact Swiss side with bundles of experience. I just think Euro 2020 comes at an awkward time for this Welsh side that is very much in transition.
Yeah, I feel 100% the same way. It's just that there are elements to what could potentially be a good team down the line. I mean, I think Harry Wilson will be a pretty damn good player. Maybe not at Premier League level, but definitely could be a championship star. But there are enough elements of this Welsh team that you could see them making some noise, but I just don't see it happening at this tournament. Let's move on to Group B, because as much as we look at Group A, and it's possible that any of the four could qualify theoretically, Group B, really the Dutch and the Danes who are going to be the teams that, for me, I would be shocked if Finland or Russia were able to kind of pip their way to being second in that group. For the Netherlands, it feels like this is the... sorry to cut you off there, John, but it's actually Belgium, the Danes, Finland, and Russia. No, that's right. Belgium, Denmark, Finland, and Russia.
Yeah. Stuff. It's a forgettable group. It's okay.
Yeah. It's okay. Either way, Belgium and Denmark are going to be the teams that get out of here. Let's be honest. No offense to Finland or Russia. But for Belgium, the golden age, they're all getting a little bit older. They're all getting wiser. I don't see the next golden age coming up behind them. There are maybe some players coming up in the form of Daku or Doku on the wing. But doesn't this feel like a tournament where Belgium have to do something?
Absolutely. I know before I mentioned Turkey has the youngest average age, but Belgium actually goes into the tournament with the oldest squad. And yeah, you're absolutely right. This is their golden generation. They're not going to get another generation with Eden Hazard, Romelu Lukaku, Kevin De Bruyne, and win something. I look at Belgium. For me, obviously, all kinds of offensive talent there. They're in a good group in the sense that they're odds-on favorites to progress alongside Denmark. The main concerns for me when they get to the knockout stages is their center backs. You look at Jan Vertonghen, Toby Alderweireld, and Jason Denayer, and that's a solid trio. I actually really like Jason Denayer. I think he's a solid center back, physical guy, quick. And I think there's potential there for them to emerge into a lockdown backline, in front of Thibaut Courtois. But a guy like Vertonghen, he's on the wrong side of 30. Same thing for Toby. The mistakes that they make are happening more often than they did in the past. So that, to me, that's the major concern of this team. In midfield, they look really solid with Tielemans. Castagna on the right, Leicester City man who really kicked on this season after making the move to the Foxes. Up front, I think it goes without saying, they have the best attacking midfielder in the tournament with Kevin De Bruyne. Romelu Lukaku absolutely lit it up at Inter. So if the center backs can stay healthy and do their job, they could actually win this thing. But I do have serious doubts about that. I don't rate the former Tottenham man and the current Tottenham man too highly anymore.
And not only that, you might end up seeing Jan Vertonghen out at left back for Belgium, because that seems to be the eternal problem, is who is going to play left back for the Belgians. And they've thrown in Carrasco there once in a while. They've tried to figure it out with Lukaku's brother Jeremy, but just has not worked for the Belgians. Look, I think that they are going to surprise a few people, but I think the ceiling for them is the semifinals. I can't see them being a team that gets to the finals. I think that Eden Hazard really did not kick on whatsoever at Real Madrid, getting a lot of shtick from Real Madrid fans for what happened to them this season. I like Kevin De Bruyne. I like Thorgan Hazard. I like Romelu Lukaku. Like, there are obviously elements of this team that can really cause some problems. But yeah, I think that their ceiling is the semifinals, and it would be nice. It would be nice to see them actually progress, because again, I think that this is it. I think we're going to go back to looking at Belgium after this tournament to kind of falling back to the pack of being in a group similar to the Danes, which is who we'll talk about next. I mean, Christian Eriksen is the talisman for this team. What do you expect from Denmark?
I absolutely, in the same way I love Turkey this tournament, I absolutely love Denmark. They're my two picks to surprise. And if anyone follows Denmark closely in their qualifying campaigns, even if they make it to the quarterfinals, I don't think it is much of a surprise. I guess it would be more so surprising to the casual fan. I'm really high on this Danish team. I think they play as a unit. Obviously, Christian Eriksen, every time he puts on the national team colors, he's a completely different player. Not that he's played bad, it's just that he found himself in an awkward situation at Inter for the first 6 months, quickly turned it around, became an integral piece to the Scudetto winning team. I really love their center back partnership of Simon Kjær and Christensen. Kjær is a guy who's really surprised me since joining Milan. When he initially joined for under 3 million euros from Sevilla, I was like, what is Milan doing? This guy's clearly over the hill. And then week in, week out, this guy leads the way. It has established as a serious locker room presence for a young Milan side, has impressed. Christensen's the perfect partner for him, played a crucial role in the Champions League win, playing all of the important games up until including the Champions League final. Of course, with Denmark, the main concern is, can Eriksen spark enough offense? You look up front, there's Kasper Dolberg, who, when he was at Ajax, was supposed to be the next big thing, didn't really kick on. Really struggled at Nice early on, turned it around a bit, impressed towards the latter stages of the tournament, of the season. Not reliable enough, in my opinion. Then there's obviously Martin Braithwaite, who's the butt of all jokes in La Liga and just Barcelona.
Martin. Oh, poor Martin. Never get over. I know. It's just I'll never forget that transfer window with Barcelona bringing in Martin Braithwaite. That was fantastic.
What a joke. So yeah, man, he's scoring in some friendlies. I like what he offers every time he comes on for Barca. He's a direct player. He's a penalty box presence, even if he's not the biggest guy. So to me, they're going to be solid at the back. Schmeichel and Nets, come on. Good midfield balance. It's just a matter of, much like a lot of these compact sides like Switzerland, Sweden, can they get the goals?
Yeah, it's going to be counterattacking football for them. But I mean, if you're a Chelsea fan and you watch what Kasper Schmeichel did to you in the FA Cup final, if you're any of these teams going forward, if they get out of the group, because I think we both agree that they will, they are going to be a real challenge. Just again, it's going to be low block. It's going to be 10 men behind the ball. It's going to be hoping that Dahlberg or someone can hold it up at the halfway line, and then bringing guys in to go in on the counterattack. But yeah, like you, I mean, I think that where they're really going to shine, and I'm excited to see at the group level against Finland or Russia, can they show a little bit more of some attacking dominance and attacking than what you're going to see from them in the knockout rounds. In the knockout rounds, you're expecting that, yeah, they're going to be defensively solid, but are they going to have kind of the boldness and the and let's say the talent to really kind of make a statement against one of those two teams? For Finland and Russia, I don't know how many Finns or Russians are going to be listening to this podcast, so I apologize to whoever you are out there. Let's just throw them both into one category here. Finland and Russia, what are you expecting from these two teams?
So I'm honestly expecting way more from Russia than I am from Finland. Finland, it's their first tournament. I've seen them play against Italy. They were in Italy's qualifying group. Not to offend anyone, they're nothing special. I think, it doesn't come, that this tournament doesn't come at a great time for them. Teemu Pukki, he's going to hope to have the impact that he did when Norwich got promoted to the Premier League, the big stage, and just lit it up. I don't see it. They don't have enough creators in that team. Then you look at Russia. They're a bit underrated just because, not many of us do watch the Russian league and Zenit St. Petersburg week in, week out. They have a few intriguing talent, like Miranchuk at Atalanta, Golovin at Monaco. Artem Dzyuba is I think he just turned 32, but he lit up the Russian league this season. So yeah, they're gonna need a solid start if they want to progress. I think their best chance at progressing is as a third place team. I know they kick off their tournament against Belgium, so that's not going to be easy. But then the last two games against Finland and Denmark, that's where Russia's really going to have to at least keep it close to have a shot at progressing. Do I think they will? No, but they have an outside shot. It would be unfair to discount them.
How dare you discount CF Montreal superstar Lassi Lappalainen leading the Finns to glory?
I don't see it. Where's Wilfred Nancy on the sidelines?
It's just going to be, they're going. Hopefully, they can get for Finland. They can get a result over Russia, but realistically, to me, it's very clearly there are two teams that are cut above in that group, and if Finland or Russia were to get through, that would mean that one of those two clubs in Belgium or Denmark have had some real problems. Let's go over to Group C. Can you please help me say the name of the North Macedonian youngster for Napoli who is going to be the go-to guy for North Macedonia? Because I've tried to do it 3 or 4 times. No offense to the North Macedonians who are going to be listening to this podcast. But it was a tough read to get through them just because everyone's talking about the fact that they were able to get that win over Germany. And yeah. I am intrigued by that. But I don't know anyone else on their squad.
So just funny little plug to the Footy Pod on Twitter. We just tweeted out the full pronunciation guide to the Euro 2020. So if ever you're seeing your favorite nation there and you don't want to butcher their names, please do that. Please do that. So the man you're referring to is Elmas or LG Elmas. He is that spark in that midfield. You look at complete contrast, unfortunately, between Elif Elmas, young player ready to light up the Euros, and Goran Pandev, the undisputed leader of this team at 37 years old, gets the all-important winner in the playoff against Georgia, and he's still good to go. I think that win against Germany has me believing in North Macedonia more than I should. I think it was just a cocktail of good factors, positive factors. Maybe Germany didn't take it too seriously. It's the first couple of games of qualifying. I don't want to discount North Macedonia. I was looking into them. Them too. They're, I think, a common theme for these smaller countries, the European minnows, is that they're going to play a low block, this interchangeable 5-3-2, 3-5-2. That's all I've been seeing in the build-up to the tournament. I hope that's not what we see, where it's just a bunch of teams sitting back and the so-called bigger sides having to break them down. But just judging from what the coach said, he basically, and I'm paraphrasing, we're not there to make up the numbers. So it should be interesting to see if they go out there with the same conviction they did against Germany. But beyond Elmas and Pandev, it's going to have to be a group effort.
Okay, that is your North Macedonian fix. So now you've got it. The team that somehow shocked Germany, now you know. Greg Caltabanis has let you know. I have already forgotten everything that Greg just said. Let's continue on to the rest of this group with Ukraine and Austria. That is the battle for me. We all expect that it'll be the Dutch who get out of this group. But Ukraine or Austria, who do you have moving on?
I'm gonna throw a wrench in your plans here because I love the talent Netherlands have. You know, Frankie De Jong, Matthijs de Ligt, Koopmeiners, Memphis Depay. They're obviously the best team in this group. I can't back a Frank de Boer team though to do anything. I just can't. You know, when Mourinho referred to Wenger as a specialist in failure, I think he was really referring to Frank de Boer. Inter Milan, Atalanta United. Crystal Palace never did anything good. He struggled at the helm of the Oranje. And I actually really like Ukraine. I was looking at their team the other day, and this is a team that in midfield I absolutely love. You have Ruslan Malinovsky, closed off the season with some ridiculous stats, 6 goals and 8 assists in 11 appearances. You have Alexander Zinchenko, who Premier League fans know him as a left back, but, when he was at Shakhtar, he was a young attacking midfielder, number 10, and I fully expect him to pick up that slack in the midfield. Behind them, they have the young Shakhtar midfielder, Stepanenko, I believe is his name. He impressed me when he was in the Champions League group of death this season around Madrid and Inter Milan, more than held his own. So obviously big question marks are there for Shevchenko's future. Reports are pretty much saying this is his last tournament and then he's going away. So I hope that shadow doesn't loom large over the team. Mm-hmm. But I 100% have Ukraine progressing from this group, maybe even as the top seed ahead of Netherlands. I just can't back a Frank de Boer team.
No matter how much talent they have, you cannot back a Frank de Boer team. That should be definitely the title of this Footy Pod is no more Frank de Boer, please. Look, it's hard for me to make a decision on Ukraine or Austria, and I do kind of agree with you with the Netherlands. I think that I am leaning towards the Ukrainians as the team to progress over the Austrians. I've always liked the way that Yarmolenko kind of really shows up for the side. He might be a glorified sub at West Ham United and everywhere else that he's been, but for whatever reason, when it comes to international competitions, he has no problem putting on the blue and yellow and showing up for his country. So let's get to the Dutch then. I mean, I understand everything you just said. Frank de Boer, yes, but it feels like with all of the young players coming up, this is the start of something special for the Netherlands. I don't think this is their tournament. I think that it could be the next tournament where you're really looking at them as being a force, especially with Virgil van Dijk not being there. They would have, for me, because they switch between a back 5 and a back 4. And if you were going to have a back 3 of Virgil van Dijk, Matthijs de Ligt, and Stefan de Vrij, I mean, is there a better 3 center-back trio in all of world football, internationally or club level? I don't think there is. Van Dijk's not going to be there, but still, De Ligt and De Vrij can do their job. They've never had a very good goalkeeper. They've never had any kind of fullbacks that can bomb forward. There might be 1 or 2 this year, but I really like the midfield of this team, and that'll be anchored by Frankie de Jong and Jorginho Wijnaldum. Yeah,
no doubt. I mean, definitely the big losses there other than Van Dijk. Their number 1 goalkeeper, Jasper Cillessen, just contracted COVID-19. So Tim Krul is expected to step up. Beyond saving penalty shots.
Rejoice about Tim Krul being the number 1 guy. What is old is he?
You can't get rid of him. Death, taxes, and Tim Krul playing for Netherlands in a major tournament. He's like the Martin Stecklenburg of the 2000s. Like, he's never going to leave. I see this guy playing Premier League action every season, and I always ask myself, how did he end up here? And, he'll be well protected with De Ligt and De Vrij. No doubt, one of the best center-back pairings at the entire European Championships. I know the media in Netherlands are saying, they're crafting these sensationalist headlines against Frank de Boer, saying Cruyff would roll in his, and I quote, Cruyff would roll in his grave if we go to the tournament and we play with a 5-3-2 and not champagne football and a 4-3-3. And I know I hated on Frank de Boer, but I do think that his team is better suited to this 5-3-2, 3-5-2, taking a page out of Louis van Gaal's book and going with this system. You have the solid center backs with De Vrij and De Ligt, and your number 3 option. You're going to have to shield them with those 2 world-class talents. You touched upon the midfield. Jorginho Wijnaldum, Frankie de Jong, and Atalanta's Martin de Roon is a nice balance. Up front, you got some serious talent with Memphis Depay and Wout Weghorst of the Bundesliga. This guy is physical presence, classic tall and small partner up there. And I know there are some interesting depth options on this team. The young midfielders, Gravenberch and Koopmeiners. I think it is their tournament to come through and really shine in this team, preferably in de Roon's spot. A player who doesn't offer much other than some defensive stability. If they could replace that with Gravenberch, which they could, that could be interesting. And at fullback, I know Dumfries is expected to get to start at right wing back rather. But look out for the young defender Wijndal. I always mispronounce his name, but that's another young talent knocking on that door. So yes, as much as I have my reservations about Frank de Boer, the way the group is set up and the way the knockout phase would be set up for them if they progress as a number 1 seed, I could see them making the quarterfinals. But man, just backing Frank de Boer, I'm gonna regret it.
The thing is that for the midfield, and I like obviously Gravenberch and Koopmeiners, but again, I think it's too early for them. They're extremely young. I think that it's going to take maybe 2-3 more seasons at a top level, or even getting a move to a top team. But this could be really a moment where they kind of emerge onto the scene. I really want to see Donny van de Beek do well. It did not work out whatsoever at Manchester United. Barely got a game in. I think that if he's able to be the guy who can deputize for one of de Roon or Wijnaldum or whatever in a sub role, that would just be great, because I do think that he has a lot of quality. It just has not shown through at Manchester United. And for me, the guy that I really want to see, and we'll get to breakout stars a little bit later, and this could be a one for me, is Donyell Malen up front. He is... You want to talk about pace. The kid is just an absolute speed demon. He is very difficult to kind of break down, and it'll be interesting to see how Frank de Boer kind of mixes in with what you're saying with that 5-3-2. I mean, I know they have Weghorst right now as kind of the target man and Memphis Depay to play right off of him. But if you're able to get Malen to be a guy who can kind of run through and run onto balls, long balls from a guy like Frankie de Jong in midfield, that could give them a completely different element. So I'm higher on the Dutch than you are necessarily, but that you're going to see a new wave of Dutch talent kind of emerge at this tournament, and then we'll see if they can make any noise in the tournaments to come. All right, that is 6 groups. We have taken care of it. We did it. We got through it, Craig. Do you want to take yourself on the back?
We did it, John. We did it. I know our Finnish listeners, our Austrian listeners are not going to appreciate it too much, but we absolutely went through it. Let's get on to predictions. What is your final, John? Who's making the final and who's winning it?
Oh, man, who is the final? It's very, very difficult for me. I know that yesterday with Christian Jack, we kind of all took a step back when it comes to the French, but
yeah.
Come on. I mean, there's Didier Deschamps, I'm sure, will make a few things that'll make L'Équipe go crazy, and I'm sure he'll only get like a 4 or 5 on 10, even though the team will win probably the majority of their group games. But for me, it's just there's no doubt that I believe that France are going to win this tournament, which would be just absolutely ridiculous. I still haven't been able to figure out who is going to be joining them in the final, so I will defer to you. Who do you believe is the final here for Euro 2021?
So, Homer alert. So I'll just preface it by saying, look, I like Spain, I like Belgium, I like Germany, I like the Netherlands, I like England. These are all top-class teams. I just don't think that for one reason or another, I think they all are lacking something, whether it's an identity, whether it's that there's issues of concern, whether it's coaching. So that's why I don't see them going all the way for those reasons. My final is actually Italy versus Portugal. Portugal, for me, they at major tournaments, they just have a way for grinding out results that like no other nation. And yeah, it might not be pretty, but I definitely have them going the distance. Even when Spain was in their heyday, winning tournament after tournament, they were one penalty shot off the post away from eliminating Spain, and that wasn't even the best Portugal team in the last 20 years. So I think Italy plays Portugal in the final. Italy, for the reason being, honestly, I think Italy has one of the best coaches in the tournament, top 2 or 3. It's hard to find a better coach than Roberto Mancini, and maybe that's just because international managers, to me, they make some head-scratching decisions. They play with a clear identity, a 4-3-3 based on possession, intricate build-up play. So yeah, concern there is the goals, where they're going to come from. But I think I have Italy beating Portugal in the final.
Italy beating Portugal in the final. You know what? You've convinced me with the Italians. I'll go with France versus Italy in the final. But
let's do it.
It'll be heartbreak in the end for the Italians, and I will laugh at your tears for just a little bit, for just a moment, because you know what? All I care about is Scotland getting out of the group. So after that, I really don't care who does anything. And even more so than getting out of the group, if they could just get a result over England and have England crying in their laps at Wembley, that would be all I really care about. Top goal scorer for you? I'm going with Karim Benzema. I think it would be just a sensational story for him to have been left in the cold, probably justifiably over the last couple international tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
It's only been two friendlies to really see it, but the Griezmann, Mbappe, Benzema 3-man up front for France just screams to me that they are going to be absolutely unbelievable. So I'm going with Karim Benzema to be the top goal scorer at Euro 2021.
Interesting. I'm between 3 picks. I think I'm gonna go with Griezmann. He's going to be playing behind these 2 strikers, Mbappe and Benzema, who are getting all the attention from center backs. And he has that ability to, he's an elite finisher. I think towards the end of the season at Barca, we all saw that. So Griezmann, 100%. A guy like Harry Kane, man, he's going to be taking all their penalty shots, their set pieces. If England go far, he's 100% going to be there. And my dark horse pick for top goal scorer, it really, again, it depends at how deep these teams could go, right? But I'm going to have to go with Thomas Müller because they need goals in Germany. It's not much of a dark horse pick. He's forgotten because he wasn't in the national team fold for so long. So he's such a forgotten man. But if we forget that all the records he breaks at World Cups with Bayern, like he's going to nick in a few goals just on his intelligence alone.
I would absolutely love that if the Thomas Müller, the man who coined Alphonso Davies as the Roadrunner, beep beep, if he was to be the leader. I've always been a huge fan of him. Breakout star for me, I'm going with. I spoke about him yesterday. I'm very, very high on him. I was considering going out with Danielle Malen from the Netherlands, but I don't think he'll be a nailed-on starter. Nailed-on starter for me is Alexander Isak. He has been touted to be the next big Swedish talent for years now. He's moved from Borussia Dortmund. Now he's at Real Sociedad, doing a very good job in La Liga this year, getting the goals. So I think that this is going to be a moment where you see him kind of break out, and everyone will be talking after the tournament about who is that guy? Who the heck is Alexander Isak? And I'm very curious to see how much his value is going to skyrocket in the transfer market after this tournament.
I absolutely love Alexander Isak, and I've been crying for any major European team to just pick this guy up. I know Borussia Dortmund has a buyback option on him, but he's made it abundantly clear he doesn't want to go back. So he's going to be on the move this summer. He's going to play his way into a bigger move, I would hope. For me, my breakout star at this tournament, I know before the pod began, I said Manuel Locatelli. But I'm going to have to switch it. Just as I was talking about Netherlands, I'm going to have to go Ryan Gravenberch. I think this is the type of player that as Netherlands need a bit more quality in the midfield in the final third in front of the defense. De Boer is going to have no choice to give him a go. He's been excellent at club level. And I think he's the perfect midfielder to complement Frankie de Jong and Wijnaldum. So for me, Gravenberch is going to, much like Isak, is going to play his way into a major move this summer.
Oh man, if he breaks out, all those Paul Pogba comparisons are going to live up to the hype, and then we're going to be talking for a few years about how he might be one of the hottest prospects in all of European football. Greg, we've done it. This is the preview for Euro 2021, Groups A through F. I'll let you cool down because I know you've never done so much work in your entire life over these past 2 days. I'm just kidding, of course. But yeah, you know what? Enjoy the European Championships. We'll be back next week for a few pods after the first weekend opening fixtures. Don't forget, first game is going to be Italy versus Turkey on Friday. I'm smelling a Turkish upset, but no, I can't now. Now that I've said Italy are going to be in the final, I can't trash talk Italy anymore.
You're contradicting yourself here, John. You're contradicting yourself.
I've muzzled myself already. So Forza Azzurri. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, thank you for listening to us. We'll be back next week to recap what happened over the weekend and preview what's going to be going on in week 1 of Euro 2021. Ciao for now.